So you don't have tip and you don't have fountain drink in your main restaurants that you usually go.
This is so serious in the US that if they know you, if it's in your own area that you're living and you go to a restaurant regularly, if you go there once and you don't tip them, like the people, the waiter or whoever is there, that you have to actually give a tip. The second time, they might spit in your food because you didn't tip them last time. So it's that serious. This is that horrible guy that didn't give me a tip last time, so we're just going to treat him like that. Yeah, I think it's
So it's,
still like that. You don't pay anything on the road when you want to go to toilet.
yeah, it's
No.
zero. It's public, right? It should be
Wow.
free. How can I find $2 in my packet to pay them? Hello everyone, welcome back to Smart Talk Sari podcast. And today I have another friend, smart friend from ETH, Switzerland. And we're gonna talk about PhD journey in Switzerland. We're gonna compare some cultural differences between Switzerland and the US and stay with us until the end of video. So before starting my questions, Niloufar, I will appreciate if you could introduce yourself to our viewers and then I can dig into more questions.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with Harry for this interview. I hope that you would be able to get some insights about Switzerland, about studying here, about the country, the city that I'm living in. And thank you for inviting me, Harry. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us today. So, Niloufar, you're a PhD student, right? And what do you study and which school, hospital you're working and which year you are?
Yeah, exactly. So you know a little bit my background. It would be very nice also to maybe tell others. As mentioned, my name is Niloufar. I am PhD candidate in oncology and stem cell transplant at the University's Children's Hospital in Zurich, Switzerland, and I'm affiliated with UZH and ETH in Zurich, one of the very elite universities in the entire world. I'm honored to be able to study here and have my few last years until my doctorate degree. Currently, I'm finishing my first year PhD and entering my second year. For us, we have during the PhD, at least you have to be enrolled for 6 semesters at the university, which is approximately 3 years. This is a must next to the credit points and all the teaching hours that you have to do. But another very difficult milestones that you have to pass is three PhD committee meetings. The first one was successfully done for me. So upcoming is second and third, which I'm looking forward. Wish me luck.
Yeah, I wish you good luck, and I'm sure you're gonna do great in this exam. So you have in total three exams until you can get your PhD, right?
It's kind of a meeting. It's not an official exam, but the first one you have to pass is kind of a proposal, like a project proposal that you have to prepare, and then talk about it with your PI. Your PI also participates that kind of meeting. And then you have like a committee in which different professors from different fields are participating, and afterwards they have to say either you passed or you need to work on your project proposal and then present it again. And then you have to go through the kind of, which is rare. Usually you are prepared because already when you get in the program, it's very selective. So you are in that level. So I don't know if ever that would happen to someone to go through like the second first PhD committee meeting. But it is possible. It is possible that you don't pass and then you have to do it
Hmm.
again.
Yeah, I see. That makes sense. So since you talked about it in Switzerland, I'm gonna briefly explain what's happening in the US that the student watching us can compare these two countries, specifically in the majors that we are related to biomedical engineering or biological sciences. In the US, in general, we have three exams. The first one is qualification exam that you have in either oral presentation or written exam. And after passing these exams, you're getting prepared yourself for proposal defense. And after doing your proposal, you're going to have your final PhD dissertation defense. And that's the last part of the PhD. And after that, you can call yourself a PhD and start looking for postdoc or getting job in the market and the
That big
next,
title.
yeah, the next part of your life. So how is studying PhD in Switzerland? Because you're also working in hospital. Is this chance for everyone who's studying in this major, or depends on the type of projects you're doing?
Um, so I would say it depends like what you have studied before, and so the path that you're going through depends also your it's like a combination of everything. The program that you choose, your background, like academic background, I mean, and so like who you're working with, because Switzerland is very also famous and well known for the pharmaceutical companies. There are also the possibility, there are many groups that are working kind of a collaboration. Then your PhD would be partially at the university hospital, or just university and partially at the pharmaceutical companies, or even startups, because it's like the medtech startups, medical science startups. There are plenty of them. It's they put a lot of value into innovation, and when startups get kind of funding, then they start also sometimes hiring PhD students. And so it really depends, because the possibilities that you can go through is like a lot here. You have all other like all the options that you could think of. But what I'm doing is specifically right now is in Children's Hospital. So I'm fully affiliated with Children's Hospital here. And we are working on optimizing CAR T cell therapy for those who are not medical, as kind of a cancer treatment, personalized cancer treatment. But about living in Switzerland, I think it's a very great question. It really depends. PhD life is very kind of hard, I would say kind of a very difficult pathway. So I always even tell my students that you have to be really focused, and you have to really be precise about what you want to do in your next level of studies, or even work. So PhD needs full dedication. And if you cannot really do that because I don't know, you want to have your rest during the day, have like kind of 9 to 5, and you would never imagine yourself being in the hospital, or being for a patient, or doing an essay with a patient's material in the lab. When the procedure is done at 4 o'clock, then you have to start at 4 o'clock. So if you can never imagine yourself doing that, probably PhD is not going to be something suitable for you. But if you're ready to do everything and give your best to what you want to achieve, then as everything else, I would say is one of the greatest things that you can be honored to have after finishing this process and then having that degree, right? Living here is crazy, because it's also a very famous place for this investment banking, and like it is a rich country. So, and then it can be that like people are who are working in banking areas, they make hell lot of money. So, and for that, the level of the city goes really high. And then, of course, if you want to go party, it's super expensive. If you want to do anything, it's super expensive. And then at the end of the year, you have still the PhD salary, and not this super cool banking district salary, right? So it might be difficult, especially once you are exposed to such kind of life, which happens a lot. And at the end of the day, I would say it depends on you. It is affordable because I think you get, if I'm not wrong, the highest PhD salary around the globe is for Switzerland, like even in comparison to Australia, US, Canada, every single, even like England, every single country, if you compare the PhD salary, Switzerland has the highest. If I'm sure it's one of the highest. I think last year that I was deciding, I checked it and it was the highest, really like rank one. And so still is affordable, right? But again, if you want to go live in a mansion here, and then I don't know, have your, because you see that a lot, and have your own I don't know, like 2 bedroom apartment, or at least 1 bedroom apartment in a very nice area. Of course you cannot manage that with PhD salary, right? So pros and cons. But once you're done, and then you can start either in academia and then doing, I mean, up to really professorship position. You might be a little bit, a tiny bit struggling, but or you just start at the pharmaceutical companies, and then then you will taste the sweetness of life.
Yeah, in case of money. Yeah, I totally agree what you said. And I think PhD life is tough because you have to be flexible to do research every day of the week. and today is Sunday. I know a lot of students are in the lab working on their research, running experiments, specifically for bio-related measures. You have cell culture, you have to work with blood and a lot of biological tests, and you have to do kind of regular experiments with your samples. And cells cannot wait for you and say, oh, it's weekend, I'm gonna go sleep and I can come Monday and work with you. They're gonna die. They cannot wait for you to pass your weekend. And that's why you have to be flexible, always busy with research, and you have to be available in the lab 24/7 sometime, which is the hard part of PhD. But if you're passionate, if you want to do something important, if you want to be someone who
Make a
can,
change.
yeah, life changer, you can be in the future or during even your PhD, the type of research you're doing. So a lot of pros and cons, but in total, it's up to you and your characteristic and what kind of character you have and which one do you prefer. So, Niloufar, let's talk about the differences between Switzerland and America. I was reading an article and I come up with really strange things about Switzerland in comparison to the United States. The first one was about restrooms, which I shocked. I was reading people go to the public restroom, they need to pay 2 francs.
Oh my
And
God,
this
that's
is this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable for people who live in the US and have
how much
free
do you pay? Now comes the
nothing. It's
question. You don't pay anything on the road when you want to go to toilet.
yeah, it's
Nothing.
zero. It's public, right? It should be
Wow.
free. How can I find $2 in my packet to pay them? That doesn't
That
make
actually
sense at all.
happened to me. So I would say it's not really, at least to to the extent of what I experienced, it was not 2 francs because that's really a lot. But
Okay.
I wouldn't be super surprised if somebody says no, in that road you have to really pay 2 francs. I would say, oh, okay, then it's possible. I'm not like because once you move to Switzerland, I think it takes a couple of months, like really at least 1 to 2 months till you really get used to everything be so expensive. But now I'm like a little bit numb. If you just tell me, yeah, this costs that much, I'm like, yeah, possible. But to be honest, once I was traveling to Geneva for a conference, and then we were on a road trip, and I had to go to toilet. I didn't bring, and I really, it was an emergency. I needed to go to toilet. And I forgot. Of course, you in that situation, you don't think about it. I forgot my portemonnaie, and then I went there, and I was like, "Shit, I don't have the money with me." It was 150 or 1 franc, something like that, if I'm remembering right. And then yeah, and then I asked someone if they can put 1 franc for me because I wanted to go in. I didn't have
Wait,
time to go back
even
and then come back.
even when you're in emergency and you don't have money, they don't let you
Nobody
in.
is there. Nobody is there. It's like kind of a closed system, and then you have to put the money. It opens. It's like a gate. It
No
opens,
money,
and then you
no
go.
opening. It's closed.
No money, then you have to see what you want to do with your life in that situation.
That's
Yeah, and
that
then
this is annoying. I don't
but
like
that
it, honestly.
money you get voucher. You get voucher if you wanted to buy any kind of drink or snacks for on the way, then you could use that money. Or you would say, but if you want to use that money, there is nothing for 1, 2 francs, right? So absolutely nothing. A scoop of
My
ice cream you get for, so
yeah, my problem is just by money itself, not about how much is it.
but that's
It's
true.
just yeah, it is annoying, honestly. I don't like it. Okay, let's move to the next shocking thing about Switzerland.
Yeah.
When I know people paying for some stuff, which is unbelievable. Imagine you have TV in your house. You
Yes.
have to pay for it monthly or yearly. Is it
Yeah,
true?
that's right. It is true. You have to pay per household. Because if you have a TV, I think it's kind of a thing for TV and radio. It's not only TV. And per household, they would assume that at least someone is using that. But it's not really much, I would say. Like one time, 20 francs, something like, I'm not sure, 18, 20 francs, if I'm not wrong. In Germany was 16 point something.
For
Yeah.
months or year?
I think you had to pay annually, so it was a year.
Okay, 20 for a year.
It's okay.
It's acceptable. It's
Yeah.
okay. but more than that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But here, still, it's free. You can get as much as I don't know many TVs and have one in
Um,
your dining room and one in your living area
yeah,
everywhere, and you don't have to pay
it's not per device, right? So it's
per
just
household.
for, yeah, it's for, how is it, like for the connection. It's for, if you want to use the TV, like the channels and everything, then it's like per household one time you have to pay annually. And
Okay.
radio, it's like both. You pay for both that amount. And yeah,
Okay, got it.
it is
N-
an expensive country. I told you.
It is, really it is. So the next shocking, good shocking difference about Switzerland. I was reading people when going to the shopping centers, they don't provide you plastic bags to put your supplies and anything you bought in it. Is it true? People carry something with themselves, baggages or something to carry
Yes, that's
their...
very true. So it's, I think, since a couple of years, it was definitely before Corona time, the pandemic. So the reason is that, like all these light plastic bags, you basically never use that. You get them from the store and then you trash that, and that trash goes directly to this global situation that we are having with plastics. So now you can buy, so it's not like that you go to a store and you have forgotten your, I don't know, your bag or tote bag or whatever that you put your stuff in, and then you're left with so many stuff that you bought and you don't have an option to carry them home. You can buy, but it's mostly different sizes of cartoon bags. So, and then you pay 25 cents, Finnick, like in francs, right? And then, or for bigger ones, usually 40, up to 1 franc, for reusable ones, like which has like proper material that you can keep that and always bring it with you. But that's true, to be honest. But everyone brings their own. So if you, it's like a small thing. You, especially for women, they have like always a big, like a big bag, and then they put it in. And whenever they want to go shopping, but it is possibility that you just buy this cartoon bags. Something else that I can mention about, I was very surprised when I saw that. So, Switzerland is this country with highest diversity, right? Within one country, one piece of the country is like a German speaking part. The middle part, the upper part is German speaking part, and the middle part is the French speaking part, and the southern part is the Italian one. Very interestingly, no matter where you go buy anything in Switzerland, everything, like from flour, from the name of the fruit, whatever you can think of, they have written on each single product in all three different languages, all the ingredients, all the information, what it is, what it does. So I think that was really, I was introduced to a kind of a very international system. But when they say international, even to details, that you go shopping and someone coming from south is not going to have any problem going shopping in Zurich. And I think this
Yeah.
is amazing. This is like really, even if you're learning a language, that is kind of an exercise for you every single day.
So how about the English language? Is English one of these three languages you mentioned? What are those three
Written,
languages?
so I say on everything, these three, because of the speaking different languages that would be spoken in different parts, is everything is written English. To some of the, this is the fourth language that in some of the product, like most of the products, but not every single one of them, is also written. So English is the fourth one, but I would say is not on every single one, but most, really, like maybe 80% of the products.
Okay.
Yeah,
So one question about the language that you mentioned. How many languages can you speak? Because before this, you were in Germany, right? You
exactly.
can
Yeah.
talk about us about Germany part two. What would you do in there? You're studying or just living? And
Yes. So after finishing high school, I wanted to experience, my academic cycle. I wanted to do it somewhere abroad. And then, because of my uncle, who was also in medical area, studied in the US, but working back then in America, then I went to Germany. Sorry, studied in America, working back then in Germany. So I went to him, Germany, and I started my first cycle, like medicine. And then I did biomedicine. And once I finished, I'm doing now my PhD in Zurich. So that's the story why I have been living in Germany for 6.5 years, around 7 years. And so I would say I always, in my whole years that I was spending in Germany, I always thought Switzerland and Germany are one to one the same. But now that I'm living in Switzerland since 1 year, I really can assure every single person out there watching and listening to this, it's not. It's like big differences because just because they are also German speaking part, I thought they're one to one the same. But I don't know how two cultures could be so close, two languages speaking the same language. So Swiss people also have like kind of a dialect. It's called Swiss German, but the specific language that if you go to a department or if you want to talk in German, if you talk like a proper German, everybody would respond, everybody would talk, everything written is in proper German. But there is also like this dialect that a kind of a slang everyday life for them. They talk Swiss German, and so for that reason, I thought also everything is the same, but it's a big difference. How many languages? So yeah, my I would say I am half Turkish and half Persian, and so I know Persian because I studied in Iran. So my mother tongue is Persian, is Farsi. I would say, although my mom is my Turkish side, so it's like always a little bit of confusion. But I would say your mother tongue is really the language that you went to school with. And for me, it's Farsi. So I would say my mother tongue is Farsi and no Turkish. From my dad's side, I know Azeri, which is spoken. It's like a kind of a different Turkish, but it's taught and spoken in Azerbaijan, also parts of Iran. And I know German, I know English, and now I'm learning French, but it's super difficult.
So many languages. And you do a lot of translations. When you speak in English, do you think about other languages and change, convert them to English? Or because
Um,
you were talking in German in the past and you
yeah,
were Turkish and you have half Persian, it's so complicated.
a little bit, that's true. But right now, I don't. Whenever I travel to Germany or for a long time, I do talk in German. Then when I have to switch to English, or it doesn't matter, even my mother tongue, Farsi, then constantly, sometimes the words in German come to my mind. And then I have to pause for a second, or even sometimes I say the German word and I say, "Oh, sorry," and then I say either like the in the language that I'm talking like in English again. I translate it back to English and or I don't know, or Farsi or Turkish. That's the story. But
Interesting.
sometimes it is very normal that you mix up. It doesn't matter how well organized your mind is with the languages. Sometimes it's very normal that you just mix up the words, or you don't remember for a second, and you're like because you're used to speaking one language during the days, or when I go to England to visit my aunt, when I usually come back, it's difficult for sometimes I'm in my like talks, or I don't know, like simple conversation in German, I use English words the other way around. And then I have to pause and I say sorry, and then I use the German word. So it's, yeah.
Okay. That's really nice to have the ability to speak in so
But you
many
too,
different
I
languages.
think, right?
Yeah, I know I think four. I know Persian, I know Turkish, I know English, and Azerbaijani also is my
Yeah, okay. So I think,
home. Let's back to United States versus Switzerland
yeah,
comparison.
yeah.
So I have some other shocking
News.
differences in
Tell
Switzerland
me about
versus
that.
America. So the next one is how people tip in Europe and specifically in Switzerland. Switzerland, we can compare it in case of people's financial kind of condition, how much rich they are. They can
They're really
afford this
rich.
kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have tip in Switzerland. Is it
Yeah.
correct?
And I don't like this tipping situation system
Okay,
in
let me
US.
ask one more question. Imagine you're in the restaurant and you're drinking your soft drink like Coke or Pepsi
Yeah.
or anything, and you're finishing your first glass of Pepsi. How you can order the next one? You have to tell them and you're
No,
gonna come and refill it, or what should you do?
you just order a second one.
Okay, you're ordering the second one, and they're
Yeah,
charging
so
you for the
people
second
come.
one.
Yeah, they charge you for the second one. Yeah.
Okay, that's how tip works. So here we have something we call it the refill option.
Yeah, but it's not that they come with a glass of Coke, So it's like a bottle that they open for you. The second also they come and open for you. The only thing that is with refill is water, and water is for free in Switzerland
Okay.
anyway, because as soon as you arrive at the restaurant, they bring you water so that you can start looking at the menu and whatever, right? And that this is for free, and constantly they fill it up. So, or even when you go to a coffee shop, it's the same because after coffee,
So
you
I
usually also drink water. Yeah.
so I think you don't have something like fountain drink.
What is that?
Fun
Fountain.
fountain
Fountain drink.
fountain drink. Yeah,
Fountain drink.
it's a big box that has different, for example, it
No,
has
you
Diet Coke,
do.
it
No, no,
has
no,
Coke, it
no.
has Pepsi.
I just
Oh,
say here, the situation when you go to a restaurant, it's posh. It's like, it's not like you have a fountain. So I think US is more like chilled, like pop thing that you go, you just chill, right? And even you can eat something because there's also American restaurants, but here is like they come, they treat you, they see what you want, and then they come as like almost a Michelin step thing, I would say. But this fountain drink is only for cinema. This one time you buy, and every time you can refill, so
okay. It's
that
for
you don't have to
cinema,
pay
or
again. Yeah,
you
like
don't
really
have that in
chilled, like low
restaurants.
places, no restaurants and no like cafeterias, or mostly there is no. So water is always for free, every drink and a single drink that is for free, and you can just refill it as much as you want. But every drink is like per bottle, so you have to pay per bottle. But for
Okay,
those places, if you go to a cinema and it's like a fountain drink, you just pay for one cup, and it doesn't matter. One time you drink Coke, next you drink, I don't know, Fanta, and then iced tea, whatever you want. It's just you drink and drink and drink again. So
I see.
yeah.
Okay, so you don't have tip and you don't have fountain drink in your main restaurants that you usually go. But here
No,
we
I mean, if you
have,
want to pay tip, you're more than welcome, and they would also very much appreciate. But first of all, nobody needs it, and nobody forces you. I know, like from my uncle, he's also American citizen, and for many, many years he studied there, worked there, right? And he told me that this is so serious in the U.S. that if they know you, if it's in your own area that you're living, and you go to a restaurant regularly, if you go there once and you don't tip them, like the people, the waiter or whoever is there, that you have to actually give a tip. The second time, they might spit in your food because you didn't tip them last time. So it's that serious. I mean, not everyone, but it could be some people that they say, "Oh, this is that horrible guy that didn't give me a tip last time, so I'm just going to treat him like that." Yeah, I think
so
I
it's
don't like that.
but it's not fair. Imagine you're in the restaurant and you're drinking your whole drink and requesting, can I have refill? And the waitress coming or waiter coming and refilling it for you and cleaning the table and everything. And at the end, you're not tipping them. And tip
Yeah, because
is
now
some,
you are used to, I told you how I was used to things in Germany, and now for you it's super weird because you are
yeah.
not used to not tipping. So for you it's like a must because it's like written, hacked in your mind that if you don't tip, no, 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 you have to tip, right? But I'm not used to it, and I think it's a little bit crazy. So imagine that we go for our nails, like boys are really having few things that they have to take care of, but girls are living as a girl is really expensive. So my sister lives in Canada, and she pays for every 2 weeks she goes for her nails and toes, and it is already super expensive, and each time she goes she has to tip like 20%. You know how much it is? So, and I'm like, and she's like, yeah, I have to tip. And once I was like, can't you just not tip? And she was like, yeah, but this is super rude. Like if you don't tip, it's really, really rude. They wouldn't say, yeah, so it's fine. Or they wouldn't say, I don't know, she didn't tip, but they would think that there's something wrong with you know,
Yeah, we
because
were
it's
in
in the culture. And I just don't like it. Like, I'm like, what?
we were in a restaurant. It was 2 days ago with one of my friends,
Yeah.
and he didn't like the service he received,
Yeah.
and he gave 0% tip.
Yeah.
And we left the restaurant and we put another bad
So
review
if
for the
you're
restaurant
killed
because
in
they
2 days, I'm not gonna wonder what happened.
no, they are not like that, but when you're not getting the service that you deserve, you don't tip. It's not a
Hmm.
must, and you are kind
Yeah,
of
but would
giving
you go again to the
evaluation
same
for.
restaurant?
We didn't like it, and I don't think we're gonna back to that restaurant. So
But
that's why we gave 0%.
in nail place, you go every 2 weeks. And if you want the person happy, so works on your nails again as good as last time, you tip. It means you have to
Yeah.
tip. It means it's by force. It means I don't like it. Anything by force is a weird thing. I think it's not nice.
Yeah, tip is in the culture of the United States, and you
Yeah.
have to pay tip. And I personally I like it because the people who
Yeah.
working there, they're
They get
getting
happy.
directly that tip to themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a way they can make a little bit more money because
So
they
I
are
have
the
a
people
question.
who are in it.
If they have, because usually we pay by cards now.
Hmm.
So if how is it calculated? Because at
So
the
you're
end of the day,
paying,
it's in the account of the restaurant. It's not the account of the waiter, right? So
yeah.
how do they know?
So when you're finishing and requesting check, they bringing first check for you, which is the price for the whole food without any tips.
Yeah.
And you're paying that, and the waitress going and coming back again with another receipt, which gives you the second receipt, and you have to write down how much money you're
Uh,
gonna pay as a tip. And that money is the percentage of the whole money that you paid for the food, except tip.
so here
And
is
that
not like
tip,
that.
yeah, the tip part is just getting calculated and paying for the people who working there.
I
And
see.
that's how it works.
It's really in the culture. They figured out how they should do
Hmm.
that, because
Yeah.
here is just one time you pay. Either if you want to tip the person there, either you have to have it in cash and then put it between this thing that they bring, right? And
Hmm.
it's like a kind of a booklet, and they put the receipt in it, and then you pay the receipt. And while you're wrapping up, and then you finish, you want to go, you just put something, and then you give it back to the person in his hand, so he knows he should check
It's
it out.
it's usually it's usually cash.
If you want to do it to the person, then yes,
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
This person was nice. I want to tip him. Then I bring cash out. Sometimes your friend or someone who's paying doesn't have cash, and then you ask somebody has cash. Maybe we should tip him, right? And then we put the money, like the cash, inside that booklet, and then we give it to him so he knows that there's something for him there. But mostly nobody has cash, right? And if you tip, it's going to go to this tip account or this account of the thing, because you click on, I want to 10%, 0, 5, 10, 15%, right? And you can choose how much you want to tip. But that doesn't go to the person, it goes to the whole thing.
Hmm.
And that's why everyone works very well. So if they can tip, get tip from someone, I don't know if at the end of the month or at the end of the year, and then they collect all these extra amounts, and then it's divided to people. I've never worked in the catering or restaurants or whatever, so I don't know exactly. But there is nothing like separated sheets or receipt that you can, I don't know, pay the person who is treating you. That's why it's not a common thing here. If you want, of course, there are many people that are like super rich, and of course you get always happy to see people getting happy, and they just, when they're leaving, they put 100 or 50 in someone's hand, and that's it. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's how it works. Yeah, that's the cultural differences we experience in two different countries.
Yeah,
And yeah, Switzerland, one of the countries that is famous for the beauty of nature, right?
true, it is very
So,
beautiful.
Niloufar, what kind of fun stuff people do in Switzerland? What is the hobby of the people usually in Switzerland?
Skiing.
Skiing. Yeah, you're famous
Hiking.
for it.
Hiking and skiing. So during winter, skiing is every single weekend. It's super expensive, because you have to pay for the resort. You're going for the ski, and then to ski, then you have to always have the equipment. Either you rent it. If you rent it, it's even more expensive. If you buy it, then you pay it once, but it's also expensive. During summer, they are very well known for their hikes. So almost every single weekend, every single day of the weekend. They go hiking for hours, or tennis. If you, I don't know, if you're in contact with a little bit high-end people, then they do tennis a lot.
Okay. How about yourself? What do you do as a hobby in the weekends or when you're free?
Uh-huh, that's a good question. Being a PhD candidate, for one day I sleep because I just lag because of lack of sleep during the week. Mostly I sleep when it's like really hectic parts of the project. Then barely I get 4 or 5 hours a day, and I need to catch up with that, to stay healthy at
That's
least. But I usually work until 8 o'clock, and then I leave for the gym, and then 2 hours at the gym, and then I go home already dead the next day. Mostly it works like that for me. Weekends, if I have really hectic week, then I sleep for one day, and for one day either I'm gonna meet my friends, but 2, 3 times a year, like during winter, I would also go skiing. Although I'm not a professional at it, but being in Switzerland, you have to become, or you would at least you have to try, because it's just the opportunistic place for skiing. Swiss Alps, right? It's very famous, and even people from America. On top of my street, like 10 minutes walk from where I live, there is a very famous five-star hotel, and they call it. It's called Dolder, and it's like they have an experience. It's called Dolder Experience. You can go for skiing, and you can go. I don't know, for New Year's Eve. There is parties for. So every occasion is like they have 4 different restaurants. It's very famous. You can go and play golf on it, and they have whatever you can, cinema, whatever you can think of, they have it. And once I was invited for this, not invited, but I was participating in one of these occasional Eid events there. And I don't know how many I've never seen that much of American people in one crowd. So I say something also very different from rest of the Europe. In Switzerland, there is the American Swiss Society. I've never seen that like a country has, American blah, blah, blah society. But here, and there are like a lot of American people, even some professors I know now, that they moved to Switzerland. They really liked it for their postdoc, and then they finished. Their goal is to find a Swiss mom and then stay. And to be successful. So yeah, two of them are actually
for Swiss, that's the
married.
best strategy because it
Yeah,
takes a long time to get your
12 years.
citizenship.
Yeah,
12 years, that's a
yeah.
long time. US also these days getting harder and harder, but it still is less than 10.
I think the green card situation also changed a little bit, right?
Yeah, green card these days is a little bit complicated because there is a line now for whole countries in the world. So, how much you pay for your rent for your apartment?
I'm at the moment staying at the Children's Hospital staff housing. That's why it's a complete different story, because it's kind of a support for the staff of the Children's Hospital, and so international staff who join. And it's kind of an offer, and that it's kind of, they're trying to make all the situation easier for those who are entering Switzerland, right? And it's a big support. I'm very thankful for that. But it's only for 1 year. And now, right now, starting from 2 months ago, I started looking for places. And that's a very great question from me, because I'm deeply in it now. And
Okay.
so first of all, it's a big story to get to see the apartment, because most of the time, either because of your CV or your motivation letter, that so you have to prepare motivation letter, you have to prepare like banking statement, everything to just be able to visit a apartment. And imagine, like, so they like your background, they like your, the form that you prepared and everything, the writing, like this in motivation, or asking, you have to ask in a kind of a text that you want to come and visit, and then you have to mention some points. It shouldn't be that long that they get tired, it shouldn't be that short that nothing is mentioned about you. So it's like really a story for itself. Once you figure out, okay, what is kind of attracting people, and then they would be attracted to your profile, and you start getting messages, okay, you can come for viewing the apartment on this day and that day, You go there. It's like a time, usually 1 hour, and then there's always one queue in front of it. So a queue of 100. Can you believe this? A queue of 100 people. So first you have to get to the step that you can be invited to for the viewing. For the viewing, if you go like 5-10 minutes late, there is a queue of, I don't know, like 50, 100 people in the for viewing that apartment. So it's a big problem, right? Housing is a big problem in Switzerland because it's few and it's everything is super expensive. And then you go there depending on which, so basically which number you had, right? You can write your name if you were interested in the house. You can write your name, and then they send you like an application form, and then you can apply to the agency. So the agency goes through all the applications, and eventually they say, okay, so we do accept you as our next tenant, or we don't accept you. Rental, depending of course on the area, but minimum for a studio you have to pay 1,500, like a studio, to 1,000 to 2,500. So depending on the area and how new the building is, how new the apartment is. For one and a half bedroom, like it's like a studio which you can put your a bed in it, and then one side you have the kitchen and stuff. Then starting from 1,500 minimum, it's like really bad areas. Really, that's not existing. To 2,000, 2,300, mostly to 2,500. And then of course, but the thing is, the difference between two-bedroom apartments, it's like not that much. It's like 2,000, maybe 800 for a two-bedroom apartment, because then they think people also sometimes get one place and then they share so that they can reduce the pricing a little bit. But if you want to really have a space for yourself, it's really expensive. So it's not a joke. And as everywhere else, I would assume most of your salary goes to your accommodation, because it's very expensive. It's very even if you are more than ready, because some people just have the money, they don't mind to pay even 5,000. You don't get the chance to be accepted by so the person who is preparing the viewing or the agency yet. So you have to be super lucky, and your kind of this application that you prepare, which has different documents in it, motivation letter, and all these things. You have to be very precise, not mentioning too much, not mentioning too less. It's a headache, really.
That's really hard.
It is really hard, yes. Yeah,
Not
and it's
only it's
very expensive. It's
expensive,
not
it's
like,
also hard.
yeah, it's not like, so you pay the money and then you don't have any problem. So you would get what you want. It's not like that. You are more than ready to pay and still you don't get the place. So that's, I think, the crazy part of it.
That's what I love about US. Customer service here is amazing. And
Yeah.
if you have money, you just need to go. As a
Yeah.
student, I had a chance to visit all apartments I really liked. And I went one by one and I picked the one that I really liked and the money was good. So
Yeah.
for here, if I want to talk about the price, I'm living right now in a studio and you see that you have the background and I have a cozy house with area that I put my bed and I have a kitchen over there. It's good. In case of the size, I think it's big enough for
Yeah.
one person to live. And I'm paying 1,200 for
That's
just
really
the
good.
rent and around 100 to $200 for utility,
Yeah.
like your electricity bill,
So
your
this, what
internet
I mentioned,
bill.
was without utilities, or sometimes with. Some depends if you are in living in a
Yeah,
high rise, like big apartment, then utilities and usually is included. But most of the time, it's not with Wi-Fi and electricity and stuff. You have to pay extra.
I see. Yeah, and the area I'm living, because it's across the university building, it's a little bit expensive because of a
Mhm.
lot of students living here in this area. It's one of the most um, wanted places
But
to
I would
rent.
say this depends on how crowded a city is, or it depends on the demand. So if I
Yeah.
was also the only applicant for the same apartment that I'm applying, right? I'm talking about, if I was the only one, why shouldn't they give it to me? But if they
Hmm.
see that there is 10 applications, one even better than the next one, and so depending on the salary, depending on how many years they have been in Switzerland, and so all other details come and play a role. And of course, they go for, oh, okay, so I would feel like this would assure me the rent more. Then I'm just gonna accept that person. So I think it really depends on the demand. It's not that the service that you get is really good. So this is
Yeah,
also Switzerland is well known for the service, because it's like always high end. So whatever, even you if you're going to drink a coffee, the waiter comes, and this is not per tip. They're not coming back and refilling your water or asking you 100 times if they can bring you something. It's not because of tip, but because of the service they want, because of the treat that no matter where you go, like even simple places, it's just a cultural thing that they want to make sure that you're okay with everything. You don't have any extra wishes or any extra need or whatever. But about the apartments, I think the demand is so high, and it's a very Zurich in specific is a very international city. That so imagine that because of this banking district that they have, every single day there is 5 flights. Can you imagine this? To New York. And when you go to a normal bar, you hear more American people than Swiss. I think this is really crazy. It's really something for the first time. And then you start talking to people. This is also another point different from Germany. People would just start talking to you. Your outfit is so nice. It's like more like chilled version of human communications in social areas. And then you talk to them, and they say, yeah, we're coming for 2 days. You're coming from New York. And then you're like, seriously? There's like a lot of Americans just around, or even for vacations or working trips. But
yeah.
yeah,
I think
but the demand
Swiss
is
is,
really high here.
yeah, Switzerland is great, but a lot of hardships and challenges,
Yeah, and also they're
right?
very selective. Even if you want to get a position, something they're so I would say it's difficult. It's like they consider many, many things. And so if you're qualified enough, because you cannot, if someone other than you who is Swiss can provide the same areas of expertise, they would go for the Swiss person. So that's why you have to be super outstanding to be able to get the position. It doesn't matter where, like from
Yeah,
IT to medical area to, it's not like really area specific for that step. Yeah.
that's why Switzerland is kind of
But I think
brand
America is the
in
same, right?
Europe. Yeah.
Yeah,
America, Switzerland. I think Switzerland is Europe's America.
that's true. That's
I
true.
can call it in that way. So
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the story. I have one more question, and that's all for today.
Mm.
So anything I missed that you want to talk? Any advice, anything about life, study?
Yeah, so I would mention something that it was interesting to hear for me myself, and I think maybe I can talk about that. So I'm the representative of the immunology program of hospital and university. And a couple of times a year, we have US students coming for a tour in Europe to go through different universities and see their educational steps, like how the pathway is, what they can do. Usually they're either like undergrad students, not college, but undergrad students from university, or medical students who are going to finish their first cycle, which is the first 4 years, right? Or even they have started the second cycle, they are in med school. And what I found really interesting is that people don't know, like they don't know. And sometimes when we mention that, like in Switzerland, studying at ETH, going to the university or the hospital here, you pay around, it's like the tuition fee is so low in comparison to America. They're shocked. They're like, "What?" And it's like they don't have all these, opportunities to check the websites. During my time, I was ahead in the cloud a little bit, to just figure out where do I want to really study. I knew what I wanted to do, but I had to choose the best platform I could fit in. But I would say the social media was not that strong back in those days, and we didn't have that much of access to internet, all these information. And I think it's still the same, although we have this big impact of social media and whatever you want to check, you just Google, you open the Google and everything you can find, right? And all the help of the AI for even asking your detailed question and whatever you can think of. But the moment we mention many things and they are even interested in that. We are talking to the students that, from US. Last time it was in May that we were giving a talk as the representative and students from University at Florida. They were visiting like Europe, and ETH, of course, was one of the universities they were interested in. And once you mention many topics, they're like, "Oh my God, like seriously?" And then they're like shocked. And imagine those who are not interested; they don't even know what possibilities are out there. What can they do? You know, because I think a very important point of life is going and discovering the world by yourself. It's not like just staying home. You know, America is a great country. America is the number one in the entire world as like, you know, promising for all the fields. And if you want to grow fast and big, then it's the place, right? But America is still at the end of the day, America. And you have to also consider maybe getting some experience, maybe living a different kind of, it doesn't matter if it's through an internship, if it's through even sometimes a vacation, a longer vacation, or even part of your study. But something which is interesting is that people just don't know. There are also other possibilities. If you are hesitating to go to university because of cost, maybe you can consider coming to Europe because Switzerland has the one of like University of Zurich is a great university and all the programs here, right? And or ETH is ranked under 10. It's like seventh worldwide. During the past few years, it has ever always been stayed at the seventh worldwide, which is like a great elite university who prepared and treated so many great scientists, many Nobel Prizes, right? And it's very outstanding. And how much do you pay for the tuition fee? It's like 1,000 around a year, right? So a little bit maybe more, depending on the course that you're taking or the program you want to be enrolled in. But I think studying is, if you're interested in that and it's, you know, the financial situation, or you think, yeah, maybe I should work first, you should just discover other places. And I think whatever you want, you desire, and you work for it, it's just there in the world so that you can achieve it. There is no other way. But good luck for your next
True.
steps.
Thank you so much, Niloufar, for great advice. And I hope everyone enjoyed our conversation today. And please subscribe, like the video, and wait for upcoming videos. And stay with the Smart Talks Harry for another smart conversations in the future. And thank you so
Thank you for
much. Have a great
listening. Thank
day.
you for having me,
Bye.
Harry.